So Mike has a show he does that he really likes and puts effort into, and I listen to it. And they had a pretty good recommendation of a band called Galactic Empire. I went and saw them, and it was awesome. Hi, everybody. I'm Kelly at KELLYTHUL on Twitter. I guess I really shouldn't leave with Twitter anymore. On Threads, Instagram, and the app formerly known as Twitter. And joining me as always,
I am Dr. Mike at Official Pagan on everything, and my beard is getting long again. It grows so fast. I only notice it now because it's gray, so you can really see it even when the lights are off.
yeah, because you got such good lighting, it's easy to easy to spot
It
that.
is. It is 1,000 degrees in my house right now, so I will not put on anything else that could potentially generate heat.
So,
But
you've not had heating or air conditioning for 10 years? Is that
something like that, yeah.
okay? All right.
So you can find me on all social media platforms that I participate in under Official Pagan. And you guys are going to want to look for us on those platforms while you're wearing some of our merchandise. After you leave a comment, a like, and subscribe, make sure you turn on notifications so you know when the next video hits. And you know what? Check out Hard No. It's the world's shortest podcast. It takes up very little of your time. It's almost like you could put it on as like one of those ambient ASMR things where it's just Kelly and I soothing voices, relaxing you to sleep. You could burn through like 200 episodes, no time at all.
And we'll put you down, no doubt.
Kelly's been known to put people down.
Human tranquilizers. So give it a shot. Um, yeah, and if you happen to be on your favorite podcast app and you're adding Hard No to listen to the World Shortest Podcast, you might want to also do some searches for Brutal Dudes on the Loud and Loaded channel, which is a podcast I don't believe we've mentioned. Given your tendency to not so subtly plug, I'm surprised Brutal Dudes hasn't come up yet.
Yeah, I don't think it has come up, but
Nope.
you recently appeared on the show too.
Yeah, I don't think that's out yet, though. I don't
Not
know.
out yet, but the first part of that will be out this week that we're
Uh,
recording this. So by the time this goes out, you've recently appeared on the show.
Yeah. And I tell you, it is remarkable when Mike puts in effort what happens. It was all new to me listening to it. It's like, oh, okay. He's engaged, he's paying attention. He's not talking about beat him and eat him every 5 seconds. It's amazing. It's an entirely different Mike. And there's Jimmy and Pete on it as well. It's really fun. I'm a big fan, mostly the other two guys, but I'm a big fan. And they done a pretty nice job in getting different guests on, whether it's music guests or folks that are involved with pressing records. It's just some really interesting stuff. So it's worth a listen. I will let you know that if you happen to be like a Jared Leto fan, this may not be the podcast for you. But outside of that, highly recommend. But one of their guests was Galactic Empire.
Very nice shirt, sir.
It's a really nice shirt, kind of a Tatooine looking deal, retro, very cool. And so they were somewhat close, 2 hours ish away from my place, and so I drove into beautiful Indiana, God's country, and to Hobart, which is a sleepy little burb, to see them, and it was a great show. Like many things, so I've mentioned, I've gone to see Bisto Blanco a few times, and they're playing the smaller, more intimate venues right now. That would be this kind of thing as well. And it's been interesting, and you obviously with your background, Mike, you can maybe enlighten me here a little bit. When I go see Alice, sometimes it's just Alice, and sometimes he has one opening act. But every time I've seen Bisto Blanco, and when I saw Galactic Empire, two opening acts before the headliner comes on. So is that a little bit of a spread the wealth for a smaller band type of thing? If they're not like a huge name, they're like, well, we're going to try and bring along a couple peers as well. Or do you know why that sometimes that that there's like usually two opening acts before the headliner for the not the big marquee groups.
So it could be a couple of different things, and it's probably a combination of the two, actually. So package tours are easier to book if you don't have a headliner that could necessarily sell out a venue entirely on their own. It's easier to book a package tour because then you can play slightly larger venues than that band would be able to play on their own, which helps push them out to a wider audience and so on. So it's easy to book a package tour. And especially if you're looking to get guarantees, that's where the bands are guaranteed to get paid a certain amount of money. Package tours are really the way to go with that. So if we were to book a tour that was, say, like Pagan and Starscream, we could get a guarantee that Pagan and Starscream would each get paid X amount of money every night because the local promoter is paying to bring that package tour to the venue. Now, we might get more if we sell it out, if we sell a lot of merch, things like that, but we know at least going there, we're going to get X number of dollars. And what's good about that, being in a band myself that typically plays like clubs and things like that, we played some larger venues and festivals and things, but normally on our own, it would be, those type of venues. You can go to a place that will sell out in 5 minutes and there'll be 100 people outside mad that they couldn't get tickets. And you'll go to the next city and there'll be 5 people there. So getting guarantees on a package tour like that is really important because a lot of times, especially, the internet's great because so many people can find out about you, but you no longer have that system where you can go to a certain city and sell X number of tickets like you used to have. Another part of it too is local openers who will typically buy onto the show. So again, it's a way to offset the cost of the show for the promoter and the bands. So let's just say this hypothetical Pagan Starscream tour was coming to your hometown. You were in a band. You guys were looking to get some more publicity by opening up for an established band like a Pagan or a Starscream. We would give you the opportunity to buy onto the show where you buy X number of tickets that you can give to your friends and family or sell to your fans. It lets us get more people into the venue on a softer area for us. Like, say your state, I won't dox you and say where you are, but say your hometown, we know it's softer ticket sales. If you're selling guaranteed 20 tickets so that you can be on the bill, we know we're going to fill up that venue then. Things like that. So it's usually what's happening nowadays because touring is very, very expensive right now. You'll see lots of larger bands complaining about it. In fact, Danzig, who is doing a big tour for the anniversary of his first solo record, he's the singer of the Misfits, for anyone who doesn't know, who play stadiums now. They do like 2 or 3 big stadium shows every year, reunite it with the original lineup. He actually had to cancel some dates because they can't even get a bus because there's a shortage of buses. Diesel fuel, the price of that is extremely high. The union fees for road crews and lighting and all that stuff are extremely high. So it's difficult, more so than ever. It's more expensive to tour right now. So what you're seeing now is this is a very long-winded answer. It's a combination of the two, the package tours and buy-ons. So you'll actually see a lot of shows I'm seeing around here where there'll be 5 or 6 bands on the bill.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, it was so like with Bisto, I mean, Bisto Blanco was such a to me a kind of unique sound, and they're hard driving rock, but it's a I don't know, you hear it once you've started to listen to Bisto Blanco, you can pick them up, and that's not quite like the AC/DC thing where it's like these are different risks on kind of where they don't really depart much, but there's just a very distinctive sound. Some of that's probably from Chuck Garrick's vocals, but it's just a style and a sound you get. And the opening acts that they've had have been I think all very inventive and pretty heavy, but didn't necessarily, I would say, thematically connect as much with Bisto. They're so good. It was good to kind of just see a variety of folks. Here it was definitely there was a theme at play a little bit, which was music inspired by another art form, if you will. So the first one, I apologize for not catching the gentleman's name, but it was just him and a drummer. He was a guitarist. The only mics on the stage for the whole night were there for the lead of the band, whoever that would be, to get up and inform the audience of something. And that was it. This was an all instrumental deal the rest of the night, with the exception of little chatter to the crowd here and there. But the first gentleman, he was kind of saying, well, during COVID, everybody's going crazy. So I bought a bunch of studio stuff, kind of set a studio at my house and just started writing music. And what he was doing is basically creating guitar pieces inspired by movies. So like we had a Fast and the Furious thing, we had a Godzilla thing, Terminator, and a Star Wars one, which kind of made sense for the night because Galactic Empire, for those of you who don't know, is a heavy metal Star Wars band, and more on them in a moment. So he played about 6 songs. He was good, and then Knights of the Round came out next. A much fuller band, 3 guitarists, bass player, drummer. And I never, have you ever heard of them, by the way?
No. They were not a part of the bill when we saw the band recently.
Gotcha. Yeah. Their thing is Final Fantasy. And so it's like, this was inspired by Final Fantasy 14. And then they do a bunch of music that, hey, who remembers Final Fantasy 5? This is from Final Fantasy. And so I'm not a Final Fantasy player, so I didn't really have a frame of reference, but all of their stuff was inspired by. So things I learned was, one, there's a lot of Final Fantasies out there, a lot of versions of that. They have pretty good music because what these guys were playing was great. It's but probably a heavier take on some of the stuff, and based on the crowd reactions around it, they were nailing it on a couple of the key motifs and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I just, if you had told me, oh yeah, you're going to go in and the second band's going to be playing music inspired by Final Fantasy for every song, it's all the way through, I would have gone, huh, really? That's interesting. But then came Galactic Empire, who is one, subscribe to Brutal Dudes podcast, go find the one where Galactic Empire's on. You'll get all their backstory and all their history. It's a great interview. The guys seem very approachable, and give a lot of good information. But they started off by wearing very close variants to Star Wars costumes you would recognize: Imperial Guard, Stormtrooper, Vader, slightly modified, but pretty true blue towards that. As time has gone by, I think just to kind of effectively manage any potential copyright issues, they've now kind of moved to more of a Star Wars inspired, so the things that would make sense in the Star Wars universe that fit. And I'm certainly hopeful, and I don't see why this won't happen, is as we do this show, you're likely seeing some photos from the show, because I was so close to them, I could have reached up and patted the guitarist on the back and congratulate him on doing a good job. See how I've learned to describe that, but I was right up there, right in the front. So I got some good photos, and they definitely got like a, it's the kind of Star Wars cosplay. You can tell it's from the universe, but it's like, it's got a little Mandalorian there, it's got a little Stormtrooper there, but they killed it all night long. One of their on their first album, and kind of one of the things I think that caught a lot of people's attention is when they did the Cantina song, which is, there's not a lot of there's not a lot of songs in Star Wars. There's a lot of score, and they play the score stuff just amazing. But in terms of songs, you've got basically the Cantina song and the song in Jabba's palace that got special editioned into a really horrific place by the end, which became called Jedi Rocks, by the way, in the revised version of that. They didn't do Jedi Rocks, and I thank them for that. But they did do the Cantina song, and it's just imagine taking the Cantina song and then just juicing it up where you got just some hard guitar stuff going on, and it was good. They're fun to watch on stage. A lot of good interaction. I talked about there's not a lot of singing; it's all instrumental stuff. But the lead guy would kind of do some introductory pieces or just a couple pieces to knit things together. Sometimes talk about a song a little bit, but it was done in a very kind of so it's pre-recorded Darth Vader like voice. Um, pray I don't we got 3 more songs to do. Pray I don't alter the deal further, kind of thing, and just cool little callbacks to that. But it was a great show. I was up front for it, and I really enjoyed it. And so I highly recommend, if you get a chance and you see them in your area, to check out Galactic Empire.
Yeah, I was really impressed with them. So Jimmy, who is the host of Brutal Dudes that I'm on, he's the one who introduced me to Galactic Empire through the Cantina song. He had sent that to me. I thought it was really cool. He reached out to them, got them booked on the show. So we talked to them. They invited us out to a show that was in the area. I was at Neshaminy Creek Brewery, which is not too far from where I am. It's like the next town over. Doesn't take long to get there. I'm in Philadelphia. I'm not going to say where, but I'm in Philadelphia. It's in the suburbs right outside of Philadelphia. So they were having a Star Wars themed like all day event there, and they had like food trucks and vendors and big turnout for it. And then at the end of the night, Galactic Empire was going to play, so we went to see them shortly after we did the interview with them. It was an excellent show. I'm sure it was probably the same set that you saw, because this is all part of the same tour for their most recent album. Really excellent show, especially, of course, the Cantina song got a huge reaction from the crowd. It was really cool seeing them there, because instead of setting them up outside, they set them up in a loading bay for like big trailer, like the tractor trailers
Sure.
that
Mhm.
move out the beer. So we're all like loaded into this giant loading bay. It looked great. There was like a few hundred people packed into this. Like aesthetically, it was really cool. Sound wise, not so much.
Yeah.
It wasn't the greatest sound. You could still hear everything, but it was echoey. So it wasn't great sound wise, but again, aesthetically, it was awesome. It was good, really good set. They played some of the stuff off the new album, which I really can't recommend enough. I picked it up on vinyl while we were there. Really great. They're starting to get into, so it's their third full length album, I believe, and they're starting to put some of the content, some of the score music from the TV shows they're incorporating in. So you get like Mandalorian and things like that in there. So that was really cool. They also did the Fox intro music,
Yep.
which opens up the album. So that was kind of cool. They're starting to incorporate some, Star Wars adjacent things into there too, because while obviously they haven't done every score related to Star Wars, because there's 9 features and 35 TV shows now based on Star Wars. Actually, it's more than 9, because you have the standalone films and 50 TV shows then. So they have plenty of stuff still, but they know eventually that well will start running dry.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good show. Highly recommend. Um, very cool. The venue, so acoustically was better probably than a loading bay, I'd say. It's a old theater. It's been revised. They've kind of gutted the first 8 rows of the seats, and that's open for folks to go stand in, 8 to 10 rows. But they've kept really all the other theater seats all the way back. So for the first couple acts, I could just kind of lounge in a theater chair, had a drink holder. It's all set, and then just made my way to the front for the final show. It's good stuff.
Very nice. Other than the t-shirt, did you pick anything else up?
I did pick up as I didn't go vinyl. I just went on CD, but I picked up their most recent album there as well.
Very nice. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to it yet, but I definitely highly recommend it to any of the army listening.
That's right. Yeah, highly. I think it's good stuff. So I just wanted to kind of give a concert report out, and You should check them out if you get a chance. And thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bog Panda.